I started out strong. I got to the turnaround and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing so great. I'm like so like full of energy. I'm eating. I'm hydrating. I could probably hydrate more. And then we got to the halfway point and then got back out and probably I would say like let's see, probably like mile 18, 17, 18. I don't know what happened, but it just things just started to kind of like I started second guessing things and I was like, what am I doing out here? Like I'm still running and getting warm. Ben's probably done. My son had a baseball game that day. I was like, he's probably done with the game. I don't want to stop and see and talk, like look at my phone or anything. Um, and then, it was kind of just kind of went back and forth. Um, and then I kind of thought to myself, like, maybe you're just hungry. It's kind of funny, and I will not forget this, but I grabbed a cupcake, Hostess cupcake. I mean, from the aid station. I know, right? And I don't eat
Sure.
Twinkies and cupcakes. They're
Yeah,
great.
it's a Twinkie. Yeah.
Um, I put it in my pocket. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just have this later or at the end, whatever. And I was like, you know what? I was tired of the peanut butter sandwich. I was tired of the chews and all that stuff. I'm going to try the cupcake. And it was just marvelous. Like it was probably the best thing that I had eaten. Um, and I don't have a desire to eat a cupcake. I hope these cupcakes. They're great. They're really great. Um, but it kind of gave me that kick I mean, it literally gave me that kick that I needed. It got me through the bonk, the cupcake.
Okay. The
hmm
cupcake. Praise the
Cupcake.
cupcake. This is your host, Brendan, and you're listening to the Ordinary to Ultra podcast. This podcast is all about helping you run your first ultramarathon and beyond. Tune in to hear new and experienced ultra runners share how they got into running in the first place, what inspired them to run an ultra, training and race day tips, and the gripping story of their first ultramarathon. Prepare yourself to be inspired as you hear stories of grit, sometimes failure, but ultimately triumph when our guests finally cross the finish line. Few clothing companies out there have actual trail runners design their trail running clothes, and Territory Run Co. is the few. Brett Farrell, the founder of Territory Run Co., has been an avid trail runner for over 15 years, and he has designed some of the most thoughtful, functional, and just cool trail running clothing I've ever worn. 5-panel hats, t-shirts, sun shirts, shorts, socks, beanies, and more. They've got it all. I personally, though, love Territory Run Co.'s products for 2 reasons. First, I love their vibe. Most running brands are built around this performance is everything vibe, like work hard, sweat hard. That's fine, but we have enough of those. Territory Run Co. is built around the feeling that you get when you go out and try a new trail for the first time, or when you go on a trail running trip with friends. Second, Territory Run Co. builds their products for trail runners by trail runners. I have 2 of their hats, and they're my go-to running hats because they're incredibly light, super breathable, have super cool outdoorsy patterns, and I can throw them in the washing machine, which is super convenient. But what I love most about them is they have a little loop that goes around that floppy strap in the back of the hat that keeps it from flopping in front of your face if you're wearing it backwards, which is fantastic. Anyway, if y'all are in the market for some trail running hats or clothing, go check out Territory Run Co. And lucky for you, Brett has hooked me up with a coupon code for the listeners of this podcast. So head over to territoryrun.co and use the code ordinary to ultra 20 to get 20% off your first order. Both the website and the code are listed in the show notes of this episode. So go down to the show notes, copy the code, tap the link, and get some sick gear. All right, thanks for listening. Now back to the show. Hey, Rachel, thanks so much for joining me today. Super excited to have you on the podcast. I know you've been listening to the podcast for a while, so it's super fun to have you on now to share your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to share and chit chat today.
Heck yeah. Um, Rachel, before we kick things off, would you mind introducing yourself super high level, like how old you are, where you're living, what you do for work, what your family looks like, that sort of thing?
Sure. So my name is Rachel Martinez. I am the young age of 49. I have one more month, the month of August at 49. So that 50
Woohoo!
is right around the bend, right around the corner. Um, I live in West Bend, Wisconsin, so it's about 30 miles northwest of Milwaukee. Grew up in Milwaukee, made my way out here, love it out here. Quiet, at the farm. Um, Kind of a mix between farm and country, or farm and city out here.
Hmm.
Um, I work remote, so I'm very fortunate to work from home. I work for a Kohler company, and I work customer service business to business, which I love. I've been with the organization for it'll be about 3 years um, in October, actually. Um, I have a fiance that we live together in our beautiful home here in West Bend. Two dogs, Tony, who's a dachshund, who's very vocal, and Charlie, who's our black lab. Um, I love having them. They such different demeanors and attitudes, and they're my boys to walk with in the mornings before I get out the door for running. So they're up at the crack of dawn as well. And we also have an 11-year-old boy, a son. His name is Benjamin. He is my favorite little athlete. He is a baseball player and basketball player. So he keeps us pretty busy, not only with sports, but with his social life as well. He's, here and there and everywhere. So keeps us
Mhm.
on our toes.
Man, that's fun. You
Yeah.
said you got your two dogs. They go on walks with you. Do they go on runs with you, or are they just like walking dogs?
Yeah, so Tony is a Dachshund, so I don't think that he would be able to. He's so tiny. I think walking is better suited for him. Charlie's a
Yeah.
lab. Charlie is
Uh-huh.
5 years old, and we have gone on the furthest that he has run with me on the road has been 3 miles, and he does really good, but he's also a puller. So I always get nervous that, if he does see like a bunny or a squirrel, he will pull. So I'm always nervous that we're gonna take a tumble. Um,
Uh-huh.
I have thought about taking him with me on trail just for some additional safety,
Oh yeah,
um,
totally.
because I'm a lone runner, so
Hmm.
I run trails by myself. But so I thought about taking him out there, kind of just starting with a walk, see how he does, and then maybe he can join in on some runs, but still get nervous because I'm afraid that he's going to pull me down. And
Yeah.
that's what he
Yeah,
would do.
labs are, yeah, would you say bipolar? Like he just like
Yeah, yeah.
will like see
He's so
something
full
and
of
go
energy. Yeah,
gone.
like he eating, in the morning when it's time to eat, it's 4:15. I'm up early riser, so he's ready to go. And he's standing at the stairs waiting to eat. It's just, I open the gate,
Dang.
he sleeps upstairs, open the gate, and he's like, running, like crashing through the door to go outside to do his business in the community.
Dang. Did
So,
you
but
say
he's fun
yeah,
with that.
did you say 4:15?
Yeah, so I'm usually up like
Goodness.
4:15, 4:30. I love the early morning. It's my jam. I am usually an early sleeper, so I'm usually in bed at like 8:30,
You
9
better
o'clock.
be.
I know.
Goodness.
So I'm a little boring that way. So I'm just at the end of the day, I'm ready to be done. But
Yeah. Well,
um,
you have an eventful
there's just
morning.
Yeah, and there's just something about the morning. And now that, we're kind of in Wisconsin, it's starting to be darker in the morning. So now that 4:45 now compared to, when I'm out the door with the dog, taking them for their walk, compared to the beginning of the month, it's dark now. And I'm like,
Yep.
it's dark.
Bummer. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is a bummer because then I know it's coming.
Yeah. The dark, dark winters.
The dark, yeah.
I know
So,
it.
but I still, winter, fall, winter, I'm still up at the crack of dawn. And it's just, like I said, it's what I'm used to, what my body's used to. And I love
Hmm.
it. I love being up early morning. Kind of nerdy,
Well,
but
I understand. I'm a morning runner too, but more like a
mhm,
6 o'clock,
yeah,
which is still like relatively early. I
yeah,
start
yeah,
work at 9 usually, so
yep,
I'll either get up at 6 or maybe 5:30 if I'm going for a drive to a trail. But
sure,
yeah, I just love running in the cool air,
yep,
no sun to destroy me.
nope.
I think we talked about that offline. We're sweaty runners.
The worst.
It's the worst. Yeah, it's a curse.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the springtime with the birds. You know what time? I don't even need an alarm because you know the time in the morning. I love hearing the birds singing in the morning. I know it's nerdy, but I just,
Well, that's like
I love
half
it.
the part of why we like trail running, right? A lot of us
Yeah.
is like it's the nature, being
Yep.
outdoors and being in nature. Like this, yeah, I'm a sucker for the sunrises that happen while I'm running the trails. It's like you
Yeah.
look through the canyon and you're like, dang, what a sunrise.
Beautiful. Yeah. Quiet. Peaceful.
Yeah, and not hot.
And not
There's
hot.
there's a running group up here that does a trail. It's like a trail race series put on by a local. It's pretty low key, chill. But it's at 6 or
Mm.
7 p.m.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm about
Nope.
that 90-degree running right there.
Nope. Not that.
Oh,
I like the warmth, but nope.
yeah, right. Yeah, maybe someday, but I don't really want to. But
Yeah, I
um,
can't do evening. Mm-mm.
yeah. Well, Rachel, let's head into your running story. So, what got you into running in the first place? Like
Sure.
when was that and why?
So I guess for me, let's see, I can think back to 2009 is when 2010 is when I started. I got into running it, and from at that time, it was more of um, as a way to lose weight, as a way to stay fit. I've always been, into fitness since I was like right out of high school. I was not very athletic in high school. I played volleyball for like my freshman year. I was on pom pom, so that was like my most athletic. Never thought of running. I was like, no. I had a friend that coached cross country and track, and I was like, why? Like, why do people run around a track? Like, why do people? It's boring. Um, so in 2010, I wanted to kind of change up what I was doing in terms of my fitness routine. So um, I was like, hey, let's give this running thing a try. So I started on the road. Um, it was actually the 5th of July because I remember, when I look back at it too, it kind of makes me sad that I kind of punished myself. It was like I had this big meal, this big celebration on the 4th of July, and I was like, all right, I'm going to get running. I'm going to burn off all those calories, burn off everything that I ate. Unfortunate thinking. So yeah, I went out. I think it was like for half a mile. And it wasn't too bad. I was like, oh, this is okay. I don't even remember the shoes I had. I know I didn't have like proper running shoes. I think I just had shoes that I wore for Thai bow that I did in the basement or whatever it was. Um, and then eventually I started to kind of build on it. I was like, this actually feels pretty good. And I wasn't concerned or consumed by pace or anything like that. It was just moving. It was just something to add additional into what I was doing. Um, and I mean, I could do it at any time. So, um, started in the summer, and then again, with the summer months getting darker in the morning, um, my fiance purchased a treadmill so that I wouldn't have to run outside on, road run by myself. Um, so then I took it to like in the fall when it was darker in the morning, I'd run before work. And so I would run on the treadmill and, felt like an Olympian on the treadmill. This is awesome. So,
Yeah.
just jamming out in my own little world. And the city that we lived in at the time, I had come across 5K, so the local 5K. I didn't know what the mileage was. I was like, oh, a race. I wonder what I can do. Let's try this. So then I researched it, like, what is a 5K? Okay, all right, I think I can do this. And it was in the middle of winter. So it was like just mid-December. Wasn't running outside, had no idea how to prepare for outdoor running in the winter here in Wisconsin. So, ran my first 5K. I remember going up a hill and my lungs were burning and I was running hard and I was like, I need to finish. And I think that was probably, I finished in under 30 minutes. And at the time it was like, I don't even know what that means, but I did a great job and I finished and my legs are burning. My legs are burning. Um, and after that 5K, I just, I was, that was it. I was like, I got to keep doing this. Like, what's next? Like, what are the different mileages? Like, what can I do next? So from there, it just kind of snowballed into 10K and I continued to run through the winter months. Did some research on my own, just kind of, you know, using like a face mask or kind of slowing down. I bought the watch. It was a polar watch that I purchased, so I could kind of keep track of my pace and um, my mileage and all that good stuff. So snowballed into 10Ks, and then I just continued to run. Um, 2 years we moved here to West Bend in 2011, and there was a half marathon. Um, and I was like, I think I'm ready for this. I think this is what I need to do next. And so signed up for the half marathon our first summer here in West Bend, and it was in August, so hot month. I was running outdoors at the time. I'd go out in the morning on my own and run, make sure I ran like on the street, in the busy neighborhood, not secluded areas, at the time. So, ran that race, my first half marathon in August, finished in under 2 hours. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is just amazing. Like I just had such fire and I wanted to do more. So, got a few more half marathons under my belt. My neighbor that I met that lived across the street from me, she was a runner as well. So we had discovered that about each other and we ran together. We ran a couple of half marathons together. She ran full marathons and I was like, I don't know that I could ever do that. I don't even know that I want to run 26 miles. Like that's insane. And she would run them like, I mean, she would just made it look so easy and it sounded so easy for her. She was awesome. So I always told myself I'm never going to run a full, like a half is where I'm at. That's like, that's it. Um, 2013, or actually, 2012. So it's kind of just in the flow of everything in 2012. I got pregnant and so I ran for a little bit. I actually found out the day before a half marathon that I was pregnant. So I was like, I was nervous at the time, like, do I run? Do I not run? Like, what do I do? It's hot. How do I drink more water? Like, I didn't know. So, I ended up running the race. I just ran it very cautiously, being new, just found out that I was expecting, didn't know a lot about running and, pregnancy and running. So, finished the race. I took time off. I told myself, I think right now I'm just going to enjoy being pregnant. I'm going to enjoy the pregnancy and not um, put too much pressure on myself to run and to get miles in. And it wasn't comfortable the first couple of weeks of just having to stop, make pit stops along the way. So I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work. So I kind of put running on the back burner, and I just had two dogs at the time that passed, but we walked every day, so that was kind of my way of getting out. And I was doing some other things, some strength training. I have some light strength training at home, and walking the dogs, and that was good for me. That was really good. And then I started to get the itch after our son was born. So my neighbor talked me into running a half marathon uh, in April. I gave birth in February, so we ran
Whoa,
a marathon in April.
that's
And
pretty
when I look back
quick.
on it now, it was probably the dumbest thing that I ever did.
Were you
Um,
recovered?
I was not fully recovered. I was nursing,
Oh
so
yeah.
just all of those things with like, what am I doing? Like, I'm so uncomfortable. And I remember during the race, um, I almost just stopped and cried and called my friend to come and pick me up. And I'm like, no, we're just going to finish it, walk, run, whatever we need to do, and we'll finish, we'll get there. And I ended up finishing. And then I was like, I need to back off. And, I had done a little bit of running between, before the half, but definitely was not ready for that half. Um, but in my mind, it was like, I can do this. I can totally do this. Um,
You've done it
but
before, so
yeah, yeah. So,
mm.
and my neighbor did it. She had told me how she did it after her first. I'm like, I can totally do it. I'm strong.
uh,
So
what a friend.
probably, yeah. So probably was not the smartest thing to do. So that's probably one thing. When I look back, that I definitely would have changed. So I took time off, and then just eventually got back into kind of built my way back up again into continuing to run half, 10Ks and halves is kind of where it was.
So
Um,
bringing it back to pregnancy and not running during that time, I'm
mhm.
sure that was hard. Like
It was
you said, like running becomes like a
party.
part of who you are and like
Yeah,
your escape, a way to make yourself like make makes you happy, don't like
yeah,
endorphins, whatever. Anyway,
yes.
but you stopped for a while and then you started getting back into it. Did you wait until he was like a year, or
Yeah,
how
so
long
I
did you
waited.
wait?
I had a doctor appointment. I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks later, and
Okay.
doctor was like, "You're good to go. Everything's
Okay.
fine." Actually, it was like 3 weeks later, and doctor was like, "You're," because I couldn't wait for the appointment. I'm like, I just want to get the final okay so I can start running again.
Yeah, yeah.
I had the stroller. We got the baby
Uh-huh.
stroller so that I could run
Jogger.
with the baby. With yeah. Um, but I found it was a bit much, so I didn't run with Ben, our son Ben. So um, I just
Yeah,
kind of went
I've done it a
solo.
few times. It's heavy. Like it makes the workout harder.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, major props to people, men and women that run in races and run train that way because that's amazing. Um, I was like, nope, we're just gonna walk. We'll go for a walk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Morning walk,
Um,
maybe.
yeah. So yeah. Um,
Okay.
I was eager to get back. And like I said, I still stayed active. Like I said, I took the dogs walking every day. And at that time, I took the dogs walking in the evening because I was tired in the morning during that time. And then after Ben came, I was home with him obviously during that time that I was on maternity leave. So we went out in the afternoons walking. I had him in the stroller, obviously, and the dogs with me as well. But I just yearned and just could not wait to get back to running. So when I got the
Yeah,
clearance, I was
yeah.
like, all right, we're going 1, 2 miles. And then it just went all the way up to half.
Boom. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that because I know there's women listening that are pregnant or thinking about it and need to hear that. So I
Yeah.
appreciate it. My wife's
I think I
right
would
back
do,
here.
yeah,
She
things a little definitely different.
Yeah. My wife likes to work out. She's not a runner,
Sure.
but she loves to go to the gym and do
Hmm.
CrossFit and other things to be active. And
Right.
it's hard when she is pregnant, can't do those things. And then she has to have
Yeah.
that waiting period afterwards, and
Right.
it's difficult. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Um, so when did the marathon happen?
So again, the mindset was, I'm never doing that. I'm never
Yeah.
doing a full marathon. I had met a local running group, women's running group here, um, because again, I wanted to run outdoors early mornings. So I found a local women's running group that um, were awesome and connected with a few of the women that consistently ran mornings, early mornings, that 5 o'clock time frame. And one of the runners, she is a Boston marathoner. She
Ooh.
just awesome, and she was like, "So I'm going to do the Milwaukee Lakefront Marathon this year." And we eventually, three, myself and then two others, we had talked about it. Three others talked about it, and then we decided, all right, pull the trigger. And she had run the race, had run the marathon. Um, And so it was kind of like a good thing. It was kind of a coaxing of, okay, let's do it. You can do it. You can run a full marathon. We've got training. And that was in 2019 when we signed up. So beginning of 2019. So I was like, all right, this is it. I guess I've got a great group of women to run with and to train with. So what could go wrong? Like, all right, let's do this. I have a friend that is a personal trainer where I used to work. So I'm also a group fitness instructor. Um, so we had worked together, and he helped kind of create our training plan for our group as well. And uh, so we started training this summer, um, or that 2019, and then no, I'm sorry, I'm totally when did this happen? Actually, it was not 2019. It was 2020 because it was during COVID. So sorry.
Woohoo.
Yeah, it was 2020. So
Dang.
2019 is when we really like got into the groove of running together. Losing track of my
Sure.
date. So
You're okay.
2020, we signed up January 2020, gung ho on doing the marathon then, and then we trained all the way up through was probably mid-June. And then all the other races were being canceled. Um, the race was in the fall in October. So we trained through the summer, through June, and then like the day before one of our long runs, it was canceled. We heard that it was canceled. And we kind of knew that there was potential for it to be canceled just because everything around us, I mean, as we know, was shut down, was being canceled. So I remember the morning of our long run, I think we had 16 or 17 miles. It's like, you know what? I'm done. Like, I'm not gonna run. And our friend that um, wrote our plan and he trained with us, he's like, no, we're all going out still. We're training. We're gonna do this one way or another. You guys are gonna get this done one way or another. But I'm like, but the race is canceled, so no. So ended up going out for the run. We talked about um, doing our own run. So it was self-supported. We continued
Yeah.
our training through the end of the summer, end of September, early October. And we held our self-supported marathon that's the day that the race is supposed to happen. And it
Really?
was
That's
probably the
awesome.
best run race that I've ever run. I mean, it was our families came out to support us. They cheered us on. Um, my friend Chris, the trainer that wrote our plan for us, he actually created the route for us. So we ran from West Bend to Port Washington, which is where we ended, down by Lake Michigan. And it was just, it was still challenging. It was tough. But there was just something special about having friends and family there along the way to cheer us on. You know, they had snacks for us. I love snacks. So they had snacks for us and, you know, everything that you would have in a normal race. It was normal and it was fun and it was probably one of the best um, summers that I've had in training just because, you know, it felt like the world was shut down. It felt like everything was just at a standstill, but we had each other and we trained together and we finished our 26.2. So it was awesome. And then after that, it was like, I'm never doing this again. Never. Like there's that's it. I'm one and done. I'm going back to the half.
Yeah. But we
Um,
all know that that didn't happen.
but we all know that did not happen. Yeah.
Before
Easier
we
said than done.
right. Before we go there, with your marathon, was your goal pretty much to finish, or did you have like, I'm going to finish in 4 hours or 5 hours or something?
Yeah, I mean, and again, like the marathon, I wanted to, for that distance, I wanted to just finish. I wanted to
Yeah,
know that I
totally.
wanted the challenge. I love a good challenge, and I wanted to see what I could do, and I wanted to finish.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that's
those long runs
fantastic.
were tough. Those long road
Yeah.
runs, tough. You know, and we trained together. There was uh, three of us that trained consistently together. And I mean, even with, um, you know, having your, your, your friends there with you, it's great to have that support, but it's still tough. It's a whole mental thing just to get through when you want to say, can we just walk? Not that there's anything wrong with walking, but can we just walk here? Can we just stop? Can we just be done?
Mhm.
Um, and they're
And
like,
the roads
no,
are
we
so
can't be
long.
done. I know the road is, I mean, I still have respect and I enjoy the road, but I, yeah, 17, 18 miles, 22 miles. We went up to 22 miles. Um, and that
Wow.
was long. I kind of dreaded going on that run, but we had fun. Like we laughed a lot and, um, so it was really great to have friends. We made the most of it.
Yeah.
Um, and it was
Yeah.
special. I learned a lot I did not know how to fuel. I did not know
Fuel.
how to hydrate.
Hmm.
So it was kind of a learning process um, that
Hmm.
along the way of needing to eat, needing to drink, needing to hydrate, learning about electrolytes and um, all of that good stuff. Um, you know, even if
Yeah.
in the back of my mind, you know, from a young age, just kind of growing up with that dieting mentality of you can't eat this and you can't eat that, but knowing and understanding the importance of it in those endurance runs and those that fuel, you're fueling your body to get you through those, to get you through your training. You can't not eat and go expect to run 17 or 18. I mean, at least for me, it doesn't work that way. So not
No.
also not being afraid to eat, not being afraid to eat the carbs, um, the good stuff, you know, and playing around with nutrition. Um, you know, what works, what doesn't work. Um, it's kind of the same thing right now, playing around, even on the long runs now, still playing around with nutrition
Yeah.
and still having that little thing in the back of my mind of, you're eating too much. No, I'm not eating too much. I'm eating what I need to
Yeah.
finish.
Because you definitely feel weird because it's like so much sugar. You're like, some people eat candy,
Yeah.
sometimes the gels, it's all like, a lot of the time it's a lot of sugar. And
Yep.
yeah, like that can get in your head like, man, this is all going to turn to
Yeah.
fat.
I know.
But,
And then I'm gonna go
but
try to eat like a meal. Yeah. So.
yeah, right. But it's totally what you need. And it makes a huge, huge difference. And the electrolytes too,
Oh
man.
my gosh. Yeah.
Having electrolytes before I start makes
Yeah.
the biggest difference. Like
Absolutely.
if I take electrolytes before, I won't cramp usually. But if
Hmm.
I take them just during or don't take enough, then a lot of the times I'll start getting crampy. So
Yeah.
it's really, I appreciate you saying something about fueling, because yes, listeners, it's definitely something to test out your electrolytes, test out how much fluid you should be drinking. That
Yes.
depends on the time of day you're running, if it's hot or if it's cool, and then also the food. How much you need to take to keep your energy levels up. Well, and
Mhm.
what did you end up using during your marathon? What did you take?
Um, so the things that I felt safe with, because
Yeah,
just anxious stomach and all that good stuff,
yeah.
Lara bars. So I
Oh,
cut
those are
Lara
yummy.
bars into pieces, and not like with chocolate in them. It was just kind of like the two. It was like the peanut. I can't remember what it is. It's like a two ingredients, and it worked well.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
so
like
Lara bars,
dates,
and then
sugar.
yeah, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So I would cube those. So again, easy access. Um, honey stinger waffles, my favorite. Um, and applesauce. So it's easy. I have the packets, the squeezable packets.
Yeah,
So that was
nice.
my main fuel. And during the marathon itself, I mean, those were all the fuels that I used on my training runs as well, and then what I kept obviously during the run. Um, our friends brought snacks for us along the way too, so like protein balls and um, like little sandwiches. I don't even remember everything that was there, but I was like, the protein balls look really good, and I really want to have one, but I was nervous because it's that saying of like, if you didn't have it during your training, don't mess around during your race. It's like the big peanut butter balls, and I had some afterwards, but I did not have them during, which it probably would have been fine. Um, if the protein, the fat, and the carbs would have been totally fine. But yeah, that was kind of my main source. And then for fueling, obviously water. I learned a lot about, I mean, I had never used anything other than water prior to that. So prior to the training, so noon was my
Noon.
is my go-to. So
Yeah.
yeah, gels just don't. They do not sit with me. I can't. The consistency is, yeah, I can't.
Like it's
And
a texture thing or it's a stomach thing?
it's a texture thing. Like
Texture
I
thing.
remember
Okay.
trying one it was a warm race, one of my 10Ks, and I was like,
Yeah.
no, no.
That's so
So yeah,
funny.
no, no. And even to this day, like I can't. And sometimes the purees, I do use a couple
Uh,
products from NAC, and sometimes just the initial, and like with the applesauce too. I don't know if it's just because it's like liquidy,
yeah.
but sometimes just that initial taste, that initial squirt, I'm like, oh, and
Huh.
then I'm fine. And then I'm,
Huh.
stomach wise, after that, just kind of taking them down, it's fine. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. So
I use noon as well for my
yeah.
short runs.
Hmm.
I'd like to, if you know how much sodium you're supposed to take, how often, please tell me. But I've just been testing it out with myself,
Hmm.
which I think is the real trick. Is you just need to test how you feel
Yep.
having different stuff. But I'll do the noons because they got like 300 milligrams
Yep.
a
And I
tablet.
believe it's like
Yeah.
300 to 500.
Okay. Oh, there's different. Okay. I have liquid IV
Okay.
for um my long runs that like a half marathon distance probably. And then if it's
Hmm.
longer than that, I got the element
Oh
packets,
yeah. Yeah.
which are intense. They're
Yeah.
like 1,000 milligrams of
Oh
sodium
wow.
in a packet, and you dump that in. I've got the vest with the two
Yep. Yep.
flasks, so I dump it in one of them, and the other one's just water. But man, that
Yep.
is salty stuff, but it is
It
good.
gets the job done.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
I've tried not the elements because I've heard about the sodium and it makes me nervous. Like just that initial um
but you're a
uh,
salty sweater, so
I
you may
know.
really
So
benefit from it.
I know. So I should probably give that a try.
On the long
I've got
stuff and the
time. I've
hot.
got time between now and October.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Seriously, for what's coming, we won't say
yeah.
yet. No spoilers, but yeah. Um, well, thanks for chatting about fueling. That's important during this marathon. But yeah, moving on. Um, we did. You didn't stop at the marathon.
I did not
What
stop.
did you know about ultra running already, or what? How did you learn about
Um,
it?
no, so no, I did. Well, kind of, sort of. So during that time that we were training for, actually the day that we found out that during that we went on that long run, the group and I, my friend, he was running a race in Tennessee. It was an ultra, and so he said to all of us, as we're like my first marathon, like what am I doing? Hey, why don't you guys come and run this ultra with me? And we're like, I was like, what are you talking about? I have to get through a marathon first, and now you're throwing the word ultra in there. Like, what are you even talking about? I don't
Like
know
a
what this means. I just want to do a marathon. Um, so we had started running trail in 2019. So
okay.
we have the Ice Age Trail out here in Wisconsin. And so where I am is really awesome because the trail is, there's different segments from where I live. So the West Bend segment is about 15 minutes from where I live. So I can drive, hop on, it's about 6.5 miles running. So I usually do out and back here in West Bend. But went out onto the trail the first time in the summer of 2019. And I was like, what is this? I mean, I didn't have any special shoes. I was in shorts. I was like, how do you run on this? Like, aren't you supposed to hike this? So I
Yep.
went up for my first trail run and I was like, that was kind of awesome. So when are we going to do that again? So that was kind of like the start of getting familiar with the trail. And then, he had talked about ultra being on the trail and different kind of trail being in Tennessee in the mountains. And
Mhm.
um, so when he threw out the ultra, I was like, yeah, that's not happening. I need to get through 26 miles because I'm thinking like ultra right away. I was like 50 miles, like
Yeah, right.
no. So it was kind of like, dangling out there from 2020 from that, from the
Cool.
marathon. So after 2020, after the marathon was done, continued to run. We had actually, when we did our training, to kind of beat the heat too, we ran trail and road. So we would kind of do like half trail, half road, just so that it
Nice.
wasn't, some of those runs weren't on the road in heat. That summer was a warm summer. And so, I grew a love of the trail and started to kind of slowly shift over to trail. Um,
Hmm.
and actually in the fall of 2020, there was a trail race, which was about an hour from where I live, a
Mm-hmm.
10K. So during COVID, the race still happened. It was kind of like start on your own time. This is when packet pickup happens. Come pick up your packet. Here's the time frame. And then you start whenever and finish whenever. Record your time. Let us know what your time was. So I was like, that's nice. And then you just kind of go whenever between this time and start and then finish and then you're done. And with the 10K, I ran the 10K and I was like, this is awesome. Like, what can I do next in this trail world and these trail runs? And so that was in 2020, 2021. I don't think I did anything um, on the trail. I think it was just like race wise. It was just kind of running again, a mix of road and trail. Got it on the
Mm-hmm.
trail on the weekends for longer runs. 2022, there was a race, which actually I'm running this weekend. It's a half marathon. It's called the National Watermelon Race Day here at Pike Lake, um, uh, in Wisconsin. And so I was like, wait, I've never run that race before. I think I want to do it. Hot day in August, hot,
Yeah.
hot, hot. Ran it, and it was like, I don't know, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone because I was like, I don't know what just happened, but it was really hot out there. Um, Maybe I didn't fuel
I
properly.
understand that.
I just, I don't know what just happened here, but it was a great
Yeah.
time. Like, I loved it. And I've had my trips and falls on the trail, but there's nothing like it. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you fall, you hope that no one sees you, or you fall and it's just the sound of birds around you, and you get up and you continue on. Um,
Can I pause you for a second on that? Like,
yeah,
I like to think about what it is about trail that feels special, magical compared to maybe road, because I know a lot of us, yeah, you run on trail after running road for a while and you're like, I am not going back, which is how I was last fall. Last
yeah,
fall, like the season was over, but I started running on some trails before winter hit and I was like, oh
yeah.
my gosh, what have I been doing?
I know.
Why am I running the road?
Right.
So especially when I live in Utah, I got all these mountains here. Um,
Hmm.
anyway, what is it? Do you feel like that makes
I
trail
feel like
special?
there's more, it feels more relaxed. Like I feel, I don't know, I don't, you don't have to worry about like crossing the road, crossing the street. You don't have to worry about cars and noise and all that background stuff. It's the background noise that you get on the trail is the birds singing. It's the rustling from, I sound like Snow White here, but like, the squirrels running or the bunnies like hopping, or
Are
you
you
see
talking
deer.
to the squirrels?
Yeah, exactly. Like, good morning. Um, Good morning to the deer.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just so beautiful. It's so hard to explain. Like, you have to, and I think that first time for me getting out on the trail, at first I was like, I don't, what? Like, what do people actually run on this trail? Like, how can you run? Um, and then you just go back. It kind of hooks you. You get kind of hooked in. You go back, and it's just, I think the peacefulness, and it's just a little bit more. I mean, it's challenging, so I don't want to say like relaxed, but I don't know. You just feel relaxed. I mean, that's the only way that I can describe it for me. I don't feel
No.
like any
Yeah.
pressure. Like, I feel lost,
Yeah, same. I
and I
think
like
it's
that.
just something to do with being in nature.
Yeah,
Other people listening will know that feeling. It's when you're in nature, like nature, in the
yeah,
mountains or a forest or on a trail. Like
yeah,
there's something about it, the serenity that just feels very peaceful.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Thanks for
And then
sharing.
there's, yeah, and like I said, I do run solo. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but so there is sort of that, a little bit of that when I do hear the ruffle, like, is that a squirrel or what is that? As a
Do you
woman,
have big game up there, or
do we have what?
do you have big game up there? Big animals? I don't.
The deer. Every once in a while, there's a
Deer.
bear
Okay.
sighting somewhere, so I hope that
Not
I don't ever
okay.
come across a bear.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Okay,
think
but not
the
common.
more north you go on the trail, yes, there's going to be more just the deer and probably more bear sightings. But down here where I am, no.
Yeah, but you got to worry about people. I totally understand that.
Yeah. So that is just, I don't like to let that kind of take over or consume
Yeah.
me either, because I do enjoy going out. I send my tracking information to my fiance
Yes.
and all that
Very
good stuff.
nice.
And, I wear headphones, I wear open ear, but
Yeah.
I don't, I listen to a pod. when I'm running. Um, I don't,
Righteous.
yeah, but I don't, I don't have everything loud, so I don't know what's going on around me. And
Yeah,
I run,
smart.
yep, in the morning where there's still city. The trail runs through the city, so there's some residential area back there. So it's not 100% secluded. There are some areas where it does definitely get secluded, and I do get a little nervous, and I hate having that fear. I hate that feeling of being nervous, but um,
I feel it. I got a 9 millimeter pistol recently that I
wow.
carry in a fanny pack when I go running on the trail because there are cougars and
Oh, sure. Yeah,
like there are sometimes bears here, not too often, but sometimes
yeah,
there are sightings. But cougars, yes, and those
sure.
are honestly more terrifying because
Hmm.
you don't like. I don't even know if the 9 millimeter would do anything because it'd probably be on me
Yeah,
before I knew it. But
before you
it
can
makes
get
me
it.
feel
Oh,
better.
snap.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's an option or pepper spray.
Yeah,
Um,
I do have spray. I do carry a blade.
there you
Um,
go.
so, I
Good
do
options.
feel safe in that way. But again, it's kind of like that thing, like if something, I don't even want to talk about it, but
Yeah, it can't.
um,
You can't let it stop you. And I appreciate
no.
you. Yeah, you sharing because it's normal to have the fear. But
Hmm.
yeah, like we can't live in fear. You won't be able to. You won't do anything
Yeah.
awesome if you don't take
Like I said, I
risks, which is
enjoy
what
the,
ultra running is all about. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
I focus on the enjoyment to focus on the beauty of it. So,
yeah. Well, thank you
yeah.
for sharing that. I think that's really important too for listeners
Hmm.
to understand like protection, especially on trail. But so you were introduced to 50K in like 2020 by your friend who's like, "Come and do
Yeah.
this," and we're we all have
Like, you're
those
crazy.
friends.
What do you like?
I am that friend
Yeah.
to my friends, so I get
Good
it.
friend.
We got to convert everyone we can.
Hmm.
So when what led up to you signing up for the 50K?
Yeah. So yes, I've run a couple of halves, and then, I kind of wanted to take it a little bit further. So last fall, or the beginning of last year, so beginning of 2023,
Okay.
I was turning 49 in 2023. All these numbers, I'm not good at math. I wanted to do something kind of big, I guess, for my birthday.
Hmm.
My birthday's in September, and so I was like, you know what? I think I want to do this. I think I'm ready for a 50K. And I kind of tossed it around. Sign up came in, and they opened up in April. I started talking about it, thinking about it in January. I was like, it's only 5 more miles than a full, and I run a
Right?
full road. So what, like, what harm can be done? So why not?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do it. So yeah, I signed up. April came along, signed up for it, and I was like, well, this is it. Um, and I
Where
continue.
where was it?
So it is it's the Glacial 50K. There's a 50 miler and a 50K, and it starts in Greenbush, Wisconsin. And we ended up going, it's out and back. So it was out to, I believe, just a little bit past Butler Lake, and then back to Greenbush Camp. And it was awesome. It was. I'm so glad I did it. Um, definitely challenging. Like I said, I threw out there jokingly, it's only 5 more miles, but it's still a challenge. You still have all of those pieces in terms of the fueling and the hydration and the whole mental thing of when you start, yeah, you start to feel like, what was I thinking? You start out, I tend to have the problem of starting out very strong, very excited. All of my excitement comes out, and then I bonk. And then I'm like,
The bonk.
why did I do this? Um, so
That is trail running terminology right there for
right
anyone, or
there.
running terminology. If you're
Yeah,
not familiar with the word bonk, that is one to remember
that is.
when you hit the
Yeah.
wall or the bonk.
And they're just like all
Nice.
the negative comes and it's like, you can just stop now. And then I'm like, no, actually I can't. I won't. Um, so yeah, I did my training. I just, again, not really knowing how I kind of was like, well, maybe I'll take bits and pieces from like the marathon plan and then combine it with some kind of trail running plan. I don't know. I found a healthy plan that I followed,
Al
and it was
Higdon,
long.
huh?
Yeah,
Nice.
that was 26
That's
weeks.
common.
So I was a little
That
burnt
is
out
long.
towards the end because I'm like, that's like a
Yeah.
half a year of training. Um, when you look at it in, big picture, I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
training like half a year. That's crazy. So, and a lot of those runs I did on my own, which I was fine. I trained really kind of solo for that. Did some of the shorter runs during the week with some of the girls from the running group, but the longer
Okay.
runs were on my own.
So you didn't
Um,
have a buddy that signed up with the 50K with you? It's just you?
no, I had just some friends that kind of like they signed up, but we didn't do it together. So,
Ah, okay.
kind of like on the towards as we got closer to the event, they everyone that signed up for it. So we didn't really train together.
Got it.
Um, this was kind of like like what I wanted to just like to do for me. It was like
Yeah,
my thing.
totally.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was long. And I was a little burnt out towards the end. So a lot of that, I think some of that negativity that I was just feeling and the fatigue that I was feeling kind of trickled a little bit into like race day, but I felt great. I mean, I started out strong. I got to the turnaround and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing so great. I'm like so like full of energy. I'm eating. I'm hydrating. I could probably hydrate more. And then we get to the halfway point. I changed. We have the bag drop, so I changed because of I was soaked with sweat. It was October, so it was like a cool morning. It started out. I think it was like 30 degrees, and I was still soaked.
Wow.
Yeah. I ran in shorts because it was warm still. That was warm. That was
You're
warm weather.
weird.
Um, so I ended up changing, eating, and then got back out and probably, I would say like let's see, probably like mile 18, 17, 18. I don't know what happened, but things just started to kind of like, I started second guessing things and I was like, what am I doing out here? Like, I'm still running and getting warm. Ben's probably done. My son had a baseball game that day. I was like, he's probably done with the game. I don't want to stop and see and talk, like look at my phone or anything. Um, and then, it was kind of just kind of went back and forth. Um, and then I kind of thought to myself, like, maybe you're just hungry. Maybe you need to eat a little more. Maybe that's what
Ah,
your body's telling you, like, have something to eat. Have, if you're tired of what you have in your bag, have something at the next aid station.
hmm,
I actually grabbed, it's kind of funny, and I will not forget this, but I grabbed a cupcake, Hostess cupcake. I mean, from the aid station. I know, right? And I don't eat
sure.
Twinkies and cupcakes. They're
Yeah,
great.
it's a Twinkie. Yeah.
Um, I put it in my pocket. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just have this later at the end, whatever. And I was like, you know what? I was tired of the peanut butter sandwich. I was tired of um, the chews and all that stuff. I'm going to try the cupcake. And it was just marvelous. Like it was probably the best thing that I had eaten. Um, and I don't have a desire to eat a cupcake, a Hostess cupcake. They're great. They're really great. Um, but it kind of gave me that kick I mean, it literally gave me that kick that I needed. So Hostess saved the day. Cupcake saved the day. I ate like half of it. So I was like, I didn't train with a cupcake. We're at the end here. We're gonna see what happens. So I ended up eating like half a cupcake and then I saved half of it. I don't know. I think I probably had like 5 miles left, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And in my pocket, like how gross is that in your wet pocket? Um, I think that like
Uh,
that's so gross, but it was so good. It was delicious. So the magic was there.
so that got you through the bonk.
It got me through the bonk, the cupcake.
Okay. The
Hmm.
cupcake. Praise the
Cupcake.
cupcake.
And then, I mean, I had some pretzels too in there. So I had some pretzels, but
That's
I think
all.
the cupcake, I was so excited about the cupcake. So I don't know what it was. Just maybe it was like, when childhood memories, that was one of the things that, we ate growing up as kids, cupcakes and Twinkies. So I started having some of those thoughts. I was like, oh, we used to eat these and then the yellow ones too. So maybe
Yeah,
that has
yeah.
something to do with it too, the mental
Sure.
remembering
Um,
memory.
Side note, I tried to eat a pretzel in my 25K. That was 2 weeks ago. And I was so like dehydrated in my mouth that like the
Oh,
pretzel just like
dry.
stuck to my tongue. And I was like, oh no, this is not
No,
what I needed
this is not
actually. This
happening.
is terrible. I was like, salt, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, no, it
Too
was
dry.
so dry. I'm like, I'll stick to my sodium drink, the
Yep.
element. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, fun fact.
Hilarious.
So you got through the bonk, and was there anything else that happened before you hit the finish line, or if not, how did you feel when you crossed the finish line?
I met some people along the way. I'm usually kind of because I'm a little bit of an introvert as well. So um, in road races, you don't really talk to people when you're running. So, you know, no, not at all. So when you're trail running and you've got people that say hello and you're like, what? You're talking to them, oh hi. Um, you can have like a conversation. So I had conversation with a couple of people along the way and that was great, like, is this your first 50K? Yeah, is this yours? Yeah. So it was great to kind of like exchange for a little bit and then um, you know, it, that was fun, that was motivating and some parts of it are a little bit of a blur. Um, I had music on. I turned off music probably like halfway shortly after that turnaround, halfway through. I just wanted to like enjoy the run. I wanted to enjoy it. And my goal was to finish. My goal, I wasn't there. I wasn't, my goal wasn't to run a specific pace or I wanted to finish 7 to 8 hours. I guess that was my goal, but I wanted to finish. The cutoff was 10, so I figured like
Yeah,
7, 8 hours. That's doable. I can do that.
yeah, Rachel,
Um,
I need to ask you a question now. What was the vertical on this sucker? The if you remember.
I believe it was like I think I ended up with like 3,000 feet of elevation.
Solid, solid.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean that's out and back too, so probably about 15.
Is it kind of like hills
Yeah, it
or
was
like
kind of up
mount?
and down. Yeah,
Yeah.
not
Okay. Cool. Cool.
super
Cool.
like straight up. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay. Solid. Solid. Thank you. Okay.
Yep.
Carry on.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, I think up until that little point of, shortly after that turnaround, after I had changed and um, started rethinking my decision, um, eating the cupcake,
Yeah.
chatting with other people. And I think that's the other thing about, trail races is just because you can have conversation as people are passing. It's okay to have a conversation. It's okay to say hello. It's just more, again, when I talk about relaxed or when I say it's more relaxed, it's like, hi, or, I biffed it twice, but I was fine with it. I biffed it because I was excited to see someone and I waved and I was like, Superman across the floor and got up and we smiled at each other. Are you okay? You okay? I'm good. I'm good. And got back up and running, but just not embarrassed, I guess. It's kind of like, it is what it is. We're just going to get up and go. Um, But yeah, so finishing was it was awesome. I came to the race prepared as I was going to be, and I finished 6 hours with 6:50 is what my finishing time was, and I was proud of that. I was like happy for that. I was happy that I was able to push through the little low points that I had of kind of rethinking, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? Um, Thinking of my son playing baseball, and I wanted to be there at his game cheering him on, and but I was doing this for me. It was okay for me to do this for me. So thinking about him and sharing my experience with him, especially as he's growing up as an athlete, and you're going to have ups and downs in your whatever path you choose. You could continue on with baseball, you can continue on with basketball. You're going to have ups and downs, and it's life, and it's mom's going to have ups and downs in racing. And that morning when I left, he had told me, because I told him the day before I was nervous. He's like, "Are you nervous, Mom?" Yeah. He's like, "Why are you nervous?" And I'm like, "I'm just nervous that I might not finish. I don't know. All the nerves, all that starts
Sure.
coming in." He was like, "Mom, remember what you tell me. You've got this. Like, you can do it. You can do anything you put your mind to." And I was like, "What? You listen to me when I tell you that?" I was just like, ugh. So, having him kind of say that back to me, and um, was pretty awesome. And so I thought about him as I was running, and he's part of that why I run, and why I kind of challenge myself, because I want him to know that everything takes work. You can't just get up and expect to be number one. You can't expect to be, to hit home runs every time you play baseball. You can't expect to score every time you play basketball. You got to work for it. And, I summers, early mornings, I'm gone. You know, Long runs, I'm gone. You got to work for it. You got to work. And so I hope he sees that. Um, and there's going to be, like I said, there's going to be those moments where you second guess yourself, but you got to keep pushing through. So yeah, but yeah, it was awesome. I shed some tears at the end. So I was like, I can't believe I did that. And I had, a couple of other friends that had signed up, um, were there as well. So it was great to, um, one of the, girls that I run with, she had finished as well. So it was great to see her at the finish, and to kind of celebrate that moment together. So it was awesome. It was a really great feeling. And it was a great feeling to call my son after I was done to tell him that I finished, and he was like smiling. And then we shed some tears together over the phone. So it was
That's
tough,
awesome.
it's tough, but it's a good. I like a challenge. I love to be challenged, and it definitely was a good challenge.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing how difficult it was because, yeah, when you said, yeah, I was running for 6 hours and 50 minutes, I'm like, I don't even know yet. The longest I've ran was 4 hours and 4 minutes for my marathon, but
Mhm.
still, that's another 2.5 hours. That is so long. I cannot imagine. I've got my first 50K coming up, and like it's just going to be a long time, and I don't know how it'll feel, but I'm sure I'll
It's
hit
gonna
that
feel
wall, and
amazing,
we'll
and you're
just
not even
we'll
gonna
just push through.
push through. You're not even gonna like realize the time, because I don't think I realized the time until I was close to being done, and then I was like, that was 6 hours. Oh my gosh, that's like almost a full day of work. Um, you know,
Yeah,
when
that's
you think
crazy.
about it, put in that perspective. Where I work from home with all the time, and I was sitting and like, and I was running for for that amount of time, pretty much. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was crazy, but it'll be worth it, and you'll enjoy every second of
thank you, Rachel. Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad that was a good experience for you, that you had that
Yeah.
moment when you crossed and that it felt good and accomplished.
Hmm.
Um, but I know that the story doesn't stop there, because once
Yes,
you taste the ultra running bug, the pie, whatever, you just can't stop.
you just can't stop.
Can't stop tasting it. So, um, thank you for sharing the story of your 50K. But yeah, what's coming down the line for Rachel Martinez?
Well, I have another bright idea this year. Um, so since I'm turning 50 in September, I decided that I'm going to welcome in 50 with a 50 miler.
Yeah,
Um,
what a thing.
yes, I'm going back to the glacial, obviously doing the 50 miler this time. And I actually, my training block uh, started last weekend for the 50 miler. So 12 weeks, I believe, versus 26 weeks. Ding, ding,
That's like
ding.
half. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, a couple things that I did a little differently this time. I'm working with a coach, and so she has been amazing. Kept me, she has kept my runs, helped me keep my runs fun, challenging, and she's very open to and very flexible to any crazy ideas that I have. My main goal obviously was to do the 50, complete the 50, um, and then to work on speed. That's been kind of a goal since, and I know it's speed and trail, kind of funny when you say that, those things together. Um, but I think it's appropriate, um, to have the speed training in there. Um, so yeah, definitely working on speed, and I love the speed. I love the workouts, that she prescribes on a week to week basis. They're just awesome. It's awesome to see what I can. I'm grateful and thankful of what I can still do at my young age, um, because you never know what can change or what can happen. So I'm very grateful that I can do it, what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am excited and um, excited that my plan is shortened.
Yeah.
And and I've been running. Obviously, we've been running. I haven't just been sitting idle for the last couple of months.
Right.
We've, base training, and I had a race back in April, and I have a half trail run this weekend that I'm running. So,
Yeah.
working on some goals towards those races, and then we'll be focusing after this race on Saturday on the 50 mile or so. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And
It's
um, like I
exciting.
said, she has kept me in check with um, not doing anything extra in terms of mileage, because that was one of the things that I in the past have done also. Oh, I'm feeling really great, so I'm going to add on 2 miles or 3 miles. So she keeps me in check that way, and um, yeah, it's just been a really great experience, um, having her um, along this journey to my 50
Hmm.
mile and being part of that, and um, having a solid training plan.
Yeah.
And
On that note, Rachel, um, I didn't ask before, but what number of miles were you probably putting in peak mile, like the longest miles week you had for your 50K? How many miles were you putting in? And then what will that probably look like for your 50 miler too?
yeah, so I'm up for, let's see, I think for my 50K, I was up to probably like 35 to 45 miles for 50 for the week. That was
Nice.
like
For the 50K?
for the 50K. For my 50 miler, I think it'll be somewhere in between there, a little. Really,
You
I
don't.
don't know. I guess I didn't ask that question.
Yeah, maybe she'll give that to you. Your coach will give that to you later, like when
Yeah,
you're actually in the training block. But
yeah,
um, dang, that's a lot. Good job for the
yeah,
50K. Anyways, like you're putting in
yeah.
more
I mean, there were a
miles
couple
than
10-milers
the
in there, like
race.
throughout the week. Hmm.
Yeah, a couple 10-milers midweek. Yeah, that's
Yep,
solid.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like right now, just starting, I just kind of go. I don't know. I just kind of go with the flow. I'm like, okay, you just tell me what to do.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about having a coach. You don't have to think
Mhm.
about it necessarily.
Well,
So you
and
can
then I
just
can't
tell
look
us.
ahead because I think
Mhm.
that was the other daunting thing too, is having that plan 26 weeks laid out. I would look ahead to all of the mileage and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Whoa.
I'm running 22 miles. I'm running, like there was a marathon in there to run. I didn't run the marathon. Um,
For your 50K. Yeah.
yeah, there was a
Yeah.
marathon in there. And I was like,
Yeah. I think I looked at the same plan and I did the same thing you did. I was like,
yeah,
I'm going to take the general idea of this and do something like it. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We didn't do
That's what I've done.
that. The longest that I did run, my longest mileage was 21 miles. So,
Nice.
but I had like
That's
3 20s and then a 21. So,
wow. Dang.
and that
Well,
was, yeah.
I have done
So I
less
can't
than
look
that,
ahead to,
but
to what so
hopefully
I
I'm
kind of
okay.
like the week to week thing where I can't look ahead. You know, she writes them a week out, so I get to see a week out at least. But I think that
Hmm.
that kind of sits in your head too, when you can see all of that.
Yeah, that's a great point. So definitely perks to having a coach.
Hmm.
Um, well, solid, solid, solid. Super excited for you and your 50 miler coming up to celebrate 50. That is an
Yep.
awesome thing to do. I love that about ultra running. It's like the ultra running is not an ageist sport. Anyone can do it. There's 80-year-olds doing this crap.
Oh,
So like
absolutely.
no
Yeah.
excuses, listeners. If
None.
you're
Get out there.
50, 60, whatever, get out there.
Get out
I
there.
the oldest folks I interviewed was a few. Did you listen to that episode? I think they were in their like young 70s, maybe mid 60s.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, running couple, and they're doing ultras. They just
Amazing.
got into
Yeah.
it, so like, let's go.
Yeah. Let's go.
It's,
There's no excuses. None.
yeah, it's super cool. Well, the final question for you, Rachel, would be if, well, sorry. There are folk listening to this that, like me, that are noobs, that have not done this before, um, that maybe have signed up for one and are prepping, or maybe they haven't signed up yet. They're just thinking about it, and they listen to this for inspiration to like hear stories about people doing it. What final advice would you give those newer folks getting into this thing?
I would say, you know, first of all, like what's holding you back? Don't let anything hold you back. Um, and if you're thinking about it, it's something that's telling you it's something that you have to, you want to do. Um, go into it with an open mind, have fun with it. Don't look at it as, go into training as something that's tedious. Have fun. Know that you can be flexible. If schedules get a little crazy, um, you can change things up. You can pivot as you need to, but have fun. I mean, the 50K or trail running itself is just such a beautiful experience. So take that step. Don't be afraid to take that step, and enjoy it. enjoy the run, enjoy being out there in nature, and don't let anything hold you back. Um, just enjoy being free and have fun.
Just, I appreciate that. Thanks for the advice, Rachel. And
Take one step.
yeah, just do it. Just do it, Nike. Wrapping up here, I just wanted to remind y'all listening that we've got a Facebook group, Ordinary to Ultra Facebook group. If you're wanting to connect with other people that are doing this thing, that are getting into this, there's even some experienced folk in there too. Yeah, check out the Facebook group. It's a super safe place. There's some ultra groups that aren't as safe, but this group is a safe place to like share what you're doing, ask questions, and get some feedback, and just share what your journey's been. We're always posting, I just did my first 50K, and everyone cheers each other on, and it's a fun thing. So anyhow, y'all listening, check it out, and good luck in your ultra endeavors, and you as well, Rachel. Super excited for you.
You as well.
Hey, your host Brendan here. I just wanted to thank you personally for listening to today's episode. As someone preparing for my own first ultra marathon, I've found these conversations to be super valuable, and I hope they are for you as well. Whether you're listening on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or somewhere else, make sure to follow or subscribe so you know when the next episode comes out. Also, make sure you check out the show notes of this episode. There's a link to sign up for the Ordinary to Ultra email newsletter, to join our Facebook and Strava groups where you can meet other people striving to run their first ultra marathon, and see any links that our guests may have provided as well. Thanks again, and we'll catch you in the next episode.